My name is Robert Christopher Wayne Weathers. I live at 3102 Central Hill Road, Edgar, Mississippi, 38841. I am under attack by what appears to be Scientology. So, from what I have experienced, there's more space in the universe than humans can see. There are 11 dimensions. They reside within the particle itself. So, inside of the particles in which we consist of lie 11 dimensions. We have biology in these other dimensions. We utilize this biology to have an afterlife. Scientology is the practice of utilizing this extra-dimensional biology before we. They remove it from themselves, and they utilize technology and techniques to turn it into an upper dimensional vehicle. So our biology presents itself in layers. After energy expands from our third dimension into the next three dimensions, it creates a biology. And then it expands into the next three dimensions and creates a layer on top of that biology. And it does the same with the next three and the next three and so on and so forth. So you wind up with the biology with layers on top of it. It looks like Russian doll, a doll inside of a doll inside of a doll. These Scientologists like to remove part of this or most of it from themselves, and they cut themselves along the layers, so they remove the layers from themselves, and they wind up with three or four biologies in outer space in which they can turn into an upper dimensional vehicle. They can't function this way, though. They can't function being cut, removed from the origin biology. So they have to utilize organs and tissues from other humans and other species in an attempt to make themselves whole and function properly again. So they use organs and tissues from other humans, from reptiles, insects, and worms to try to modify themselves and make themselves whole and function properly again. So they make lizard people, they make insectoids, they make worm people, and then there's a few types of alien forms. So Scientologists practice an alien form. The human genome produces an 11-dimensional organism with a head covering. We have horns on our head. We have short arms and big hands. We fly through outer space and do magic. We can literally move particles around with our mind. I think it is an effect of our ability to fly. So humans are Anunnaki. That is our bloodline. That is supposed to be the human afterlife experience. Scientologists remove this Anunnaki from themselves, chop it to pieces, and make several biologies. Is that they utilize organs and tissue from other humans and other species in an attempt to make themselves whole and modify themselves. So Scientologists are literally creating the aliens. They are extra-dimensional organisms. Aliens are remote-controlled organisms. So humans on Earth are standing on Earth at this very moment, and they are driving their alien counterparts. So there's an entanglement property between our third dimension and our inner dimensions. If you remove part of our biology from us, no matter how far you take it away from us, we are still in this biology. especially brain and central nervous system. They use this entanglement property for part of their technology. So there are compounds on Earth in which store biology. These Scientologists like to remove biology from themselves, mostly brain and central nervous system tissue. So they like to remove brain stems, their thalamus, and their eyes. And they have little pods or little boxes in which they put this uh, biology in, and they install it into a storage system. And from there, they interface themselves to a computer system. So they use electrodes and devices and sensors and things to interface themselves to a computer system. From there, they can communicate with each other, interact with each other in the digital landscape, and this also acts as a command center for them to drive their upper dimensional organism or upper dimensional biology. They also do this to the origin biology. So they come down here to their origin biologies. They install devices and technology and sensors and things. So there's several types of technology they use this way. First, there are recording devices. There are devices in which record sensory perception organs or sensory perception input. So they can record their sight, their hearing, their smell, their taste, their touch. They call these PreserVision devices. This technology also acts as a phone service. So they have a screen they can install in our brain too. It interfaces with the visual cortex of our brain and our thalamus. We can stimulate this screen on our own. It replaces the visual thinking or the visual uh, part of our thought processes. And they can also stimulate the screen so they can show you things, see things. And they can do the same thing with auditory input. They can give you a phone service. They can also isolate individual memories or thought patterns and stimulate this brain. So they can make you experience a memory or a thought pattern, and they can stimulate the emotional parts of their brain. So they can make themselves experience uh, irritability, anger, joy. They can even make you cry. And lastly, this technology elevates neurochemistry. So they run electricity through their neurons. And this elevates neurochemistry. It stimulates neurochemical production. So it elevates neurochemicals like dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin. It has a narcotic-like effect upon the user. And lastly, this technology allows them to drive surrogates. So it allows them to drive other organisms besides their own. They can drive humans, animals, insects, and worms, even microbial life, including viruses, in any dimension. A large percentage of the Scientology community is criminal, especially these companies called PreserVision, Yumas, and the Lizard Company. And then the rest of the Scientology community. They steal people's biology. So first off, they are Scientology companies. They help people access the upper dimensions. So they help people remove their extra dimensions and turn them into upper dimensional vehicles. But then and they also create surrogates. They call them Yuma Bobs, whatever they're calling them these days. Surrogate business, a surrogate making business. So these people take biology from the public to complete their Scientology practice. They take biology from other humans, from reptiles, insects, worms. People do things like paparazzi people. If you are a person of interest, say an entertainment professional or an author, someone with influence or a politician, anybody with influence, power, or authority in any way, they get on they get they are of interest to the Scientology community. So some people they like to take their biologies uh, for their Scientology practices, either for transplants for themselves or for surrogate making practice. They like to invade our privacy, invade our homes and businesses. So Facebook and marketing companies and media companies, they are stealing people's biology for their employment purpose. So they like to steal brain tissue and eye tissue, eye nerves, and they have a compound on Earth where they house the public's biology. They do this in an attempt to invade your privacy and read your thoughts, and then try to sell you things. So it goes into part of your algorithm, and it determines the ads and the commercials in which these companies show uh, their victims. So home invasion is rampant, invasion of people's businesses. These people use their upper dimensionals as lookouts so they can break and enter into our homes and businesses and steal things or information or modify the environment. They kidnap people, they exploit people, they traffic humans. They have developed biological warfare. So they have several types of parasitic worms, big worms with teeth, and also microbes and viruses that they use as weapons. They're doing this in mass. So they like to contaminate our food and water supply with these parasites or other contaminants. Torture, rape, and murder is rampant among the Scientology community. And then they turn some people into surrogates. So they actually take people's lives and turn them into surrogates. And they harass people a lot. So the conditioning of these people to practice Scientology, which is literally a medical field, is literally the handling of body parts, the removal of body parts, modification of body parts, and biological theft. They're conditioned to do this. They do this for employment and for hobby purposes. On top of that, they are very criminal. It is a criminal enterprise. And then they're elevating neurochemistry, artificially stimulating brain tissue. So the Scientology field is producing some extremely bad psychology and behavior. They are psychotic and delusional, extremely irritable. They are addicted to doing certain things. They have addictive tendencies. They are extremely violent. They harass people. They are jealous and petty and machoistic. So I used to be a political activist on social media. I participated in politics a lot. There was a large group of people doing this. We discussed elected officials, lawmaking, policy, environmental issues, and we participated in politics. So we participated in elections and lawmaking and policy. And I was also an author, so I wrote a lot. And I helped other people create their own literature. So I gave them ideas and I inspired them to do it for themselves. And the Scientology community kidnapped me. They forced me to assimilate. First, they tried taking over my life, telling me what to do, how to do my job, when I could go to the bathroom, when I could stand up, when I could sit down. I told them to get away from me. I did not accept their advances. And then they became hostile. Well, more people came, and they were extremely hostile. They harassed me constantly, threatened my life and my liberty. And it became apparent that the world was invading my privacy. Radio companies, media companies, marketing companies, internet companies, big business, the government, politicians, the FBI, the CIA, the military, they were all invading my privacy. And I became extremely ill. Weakness and dizziness. My vision became worse. Blurry vision. I started to feel foreign objects stuck inside of me, deep inside of my ear, my neck, and my head. My whole face swelled up and my eyes started drooping. Then I started having dreams of going to hell and suffering and torture. I would go to sleep and then I would have such great pain. I would have sensations like electrocution and falling. And then they would do things like put me on some skit where you're going to hell. Yes, this was 13 years ago. And you'd have to face claustrophobia or fear. So I am part Native American. My Native American name is Crazy Bird. I'm an author and a tool maker. So I wrote Crazy Bird Comics. I wrote the Environment Creation Agency. I wrote Divine Currency or Buffalo Dollars, Alien Bob, Bug Bob, and a lot of other short stories. And as time went on, more and more people were started stealing my intellectual property, and the communication grew worse and worse. Then eventually I started to hallucinate. I started to see things and hear things. So I could actually see these organisms in my environment, see these people's upper dimensions. They were at my home, in my car, at my employment, assaulting me and messing with my biology. So these people became attracted to my psychology, my ability to think and process information, and to create and to write literature. They started selling seats to other Scientologists so they could invade my mind space, gain knowledge or some kind of insight or ideas. These people started stealing my intellectual property. And then the people running this phone service also started selling my intellectual property and my ideas to other people. Then it turned into biological theft. So they wanted the ability to do this for themselves. So they started stealing biology, mostly brain tissue at first, to utilize for themselves. And they would victim shame me as they did it. Say I'd done something wrong or it was my fault so they could steal biology. And at first they used this biology for transplant purposes. So they literally removed brain tissue and used it as a transplant for themselves. They literally wanted to utilize my psychology for themselves. As time went on, they stole more and more biology, and it became apparent that I had parasites. They were driving these parasites through my biology. So some of my biology they've utilized for transplant purposes. Some of it they utilize for surrogate making purposes. Some of it they're using for torture devices. So because of this entanglement property, I'm still in this biology no matter how far they take it away from me. So they're using it as a torture device. I have severe brain damage, damage to my nervous system and my organs. They keep trying to come up with some false narrative in which says that I've done something wrong or I'm a bad person or something, somehow justifying their criminal behavior towards me. On top of that, they harass me constantly. They threaten my life and my liberty, threaten my family. They keep claiming they're going to steal my intellectual property. Some of them already have. They are addicted to this behavior, trying to come up with an excuse for why they have done this to me. And it's victim shaming. They're blaming it on me. So they're premeditating my death. And they're going to use my stolen biology as some kind of uh, torture device. So they're going to try to send me to hell. First, it's supposed to start off as some digital hell, the same thing they do every night. And then it's going to turn into a physical hell. So I'm supposed to experience my biology suffering. This is a Scientology. They call themselves Preservision, Humas, and the Lizard Company. Well, they sent me to hell twice last night. First, they made me run away in a scenario which I was going to go to hell. And then they made me have sex with my sister. I woke up disgusted. I do this every night and every day. Yes, this is home invasion. They live with me. I don't live with them. The people that are mainly involved is Mississippi Public Broadcasting, NPR, Facebook, Microsoft, Google, several businesses, in the government. There are several politicians, the FBI, the CIA, and the military. All of these institutions have Scientologists among them.